Hi, Sparrows. It's another great Wisdom Wednesday. Come on into the room. Got a great show lined up for you tonight with Patricia Woolfork. So it's going to be great. We're talking about family and what does your family look like. We all have a different array of family and what they look like. And Nicholas, I'm live, dear heart. So yes, what did your family look like? And how important is it to you? I have a special guest. You want to say hi?
Hi.
Come on, say hi.
Hi.
This would be Nicholas, and he's coming on to ask questions right in the midst of my live. Hi, Joy. Hi. Hello, Shonda, Eddie, everybody. Okay, are you going to go in the other room? You're going to stay in here with me.
You are the second.
We can't do it right now. So, yes, like I said, we have Patricia on tonight. And yes, this is the one, the infamous little Mr. Nicholas. Yeah. Mr. Everything. My little champ. And he's going to have to stay in here and for a few minutes because he's asking Aunt Val questions. Yeah, that's what he's doing. So has everybody had a great Wisdom Wednesday? I hope you have. Mine's blown by. It's a great day. And the middle of the week. The weather is pretty good. Kind of overcast just a little bit. But what can you say? But like I said, family has a different view.
I don't have it.
This one right here, he's a great nephew once over. No, sweet. So here we go. Did you hear that? What family has a different look, and it does not have to be blood relatives. It's not always blood relatives. And so that's what I'm saying to you right now. Thank you, Nicholas. So he's 4 years old, going on 48, and that's about the best I can say for right now. So he's going to be in and out probably because he hasn't seen Aunt Val in a few days. So he's wanting to spend some time. He's coming to spend time, even though I can't right now. He bombards. He comes in and takes over. And it's all right. So hopefully we will have Patricia in the room momentarily, and we're going to talk about her and her new book, a little bit about her history, and where did she feel inclined to talk about her new release. Okay? And that's about the gist. I'm so grateful to see those of you that are in the room tonight. Be sure to put in comments where you are viewing from, if you're a veteran or not. Hashtag veteran. If you're a newbie, hashtag newbie. If you are a follower of Patricia, hashtag visitor. Okay? So definitely come on in. If you notice on my timeline today, I put a little something out. I put a quote out that really, that kind of struck with me because of what Patricia wrote about. It said, family is supposed to be our safe haven. Very often it's the place where we find our deepest heartache. That just depends. Just depends on what your family look like. So if you just kind of go back into your recollection, what does yours look like? What does it look like? I know we all have our ups, we all have our downs, we have those individuals in the family that keeps things interesting. We all have those. But at the end of the day, it's a beautiful thing because when things get rough and tough, you can always depend on family for most of us. But for those of us who don't have that in space, you have to look at things just a little bit different. Just a tad bit. And it just makes you, be grateful on both sides of the fence, whether if you have it or not, because it's a great lesson all the way around. It is a great lesson at the end of the day. So that's what I say is the most miraculous. Patricia, you're in the room, honey, but not on with me. What is that about? I need you on the other side so the sparrows can see you and we can get this conversation started. I sent you an invitation. Did you not receive it, dear heart? Hello, Sheldon. Welcome to the room. But, you know, family is all in how you view it. It's all in how you perceive it, and it doesn't always have to be a bloodline. Be grateful at all times, no matter who they are, as long as you have a safe place where you can have someone that you can turn to, someone that you can depend on at the end of the day. That is going to be the truest and the most rewarding thing I can ever say when it comes to family. There she is. She made it on. I know. I saw you all out in the room talking about I'm here. Seriously?
Well, I was waiting for you to invite me.
And I did.
Well, it didn't show up on horizontal on my phone.
It's okay. I'm just glad you're here right now. So thanks everyone for coming in. I'm going to back myself up because I feel like I'm too close with you being at a distance. So Sarah,
Am I too far?
nope, you're perfectly fine. We're just going to make a few adjustments and I think we're going to be fine. So everyone, please welcome Patricia to the room. And before we get started any further, as I was going to turn it over to her so she could introduce herself, she is now out of the room. Hi, Heather. How are you today? Welcome into the room. Hope everyone's well. Hello, Tiffany. Tiffany, you missed all of the shenanigans with Nicholas making his debut on, you know, live tonight for Wisdom Wednesday. It was destined for him to make his appearance. And today was it. So you missed it. He's demanding Aunt Val to play with that putty he has. However, just letting the sparrows know that family come in different shapes, sizes, ethnicities. It doesn't matter. It's about people who care about you and you care about them. And that's what it's all about. This is Patricia's daughter, Heather. It is so fabulous to meet you virtually. Your mom's amazing. She's amazing. I just had a quick chat with your daughter, Heather, Patricia.
Oh, okay, good. I had sent her a message.
She is here and she is in the room.
Yay!
So if I can get you in view just a little bit, I'm going to have you go ahead and share a little bit about you. Please tell me, who is Patricia?
Oh, I never was asked that question recently anyway.
I like to ask questions that
I am the mother of three. I am the mother of three outstanding children. You just spoke to.
Just like that, she's out of the room. I tell you what, Sparrows, I have really aligned with my patients. And the reason I say that is because if you're going to be doing lives here on Facebook here, as of late,
Okay. Here we
this
go.
is going to happen. So since Patricia is a sparrow of the night, the chances are she's going to flock in and back out of the room. So it appears that, you know, one of your sons are in the room also. So you have of your children.
Yay! Thank you, guys.
They are here.
I hope I make you proud.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. Like I was saying, I have three wonderful children. I have 9 grandchildren, 1 great grand, and I just.
I can only promise you, Sparrows, this will not continue. I probably had an in and out situation on Monday night at least 3 to 4 times. After that, it kind of just eased itself off, and then the gas remains in the room. Only God knows how much longer this is going to happen. I find it humorous, and I just make it to the point of where it's a sparrow. I'm always talking about my sparrows. I'm a sparrow, you're a sparrow. Patricia is the guest sparrow of the night. Therefore, she should be back in momentarily, and I can only tell you, I promise, it's going to get better. It's a Facebook thing. I'm not understanding what it is. Nobody has responded to my email when I inquire about it. Welcome to the room, Nancy Clark, Bridget Neal. It's so fabulous to see both of you in. However, Patricia will be back in momentarily. And you never know. And it's just humorous. It's humorous. I'm being tested for whatever reason. However, I promise you I'm going to pass it. I'm going to pass it. And she's back. And
There.
y'all, you can just carry on just where you left off. Isn't it a humor?
Oh, see, that's the hard part. Remembering where I left off. Let's see.
$9,000.
I started writing when I was 15 years
Mm-hmm.
old. One of my English teachers had given us an assignment, and when I did the first one that was only about four lines long, she said, you can do better. I was an honor student. So the next one became 6 pages of rhyme, but I don't do that anymore. So once I graduated and got married, I didn't write again until 1970. I began to write again.
1970, she started writing again. So I think I'm going to have to jot notes down so I can remind Patricia where she ended in conversation. So hopefully you all are sending up some prayers that we can go ahead and get through this. Hi, Ashley.
Not me.
I'm
back.
explained that it's not you. It was 1970.
Well, I'm explaining to my kids. I'm explaining to my kids who know I'm not tech savvy that it is not me.
It's okay. I've explained to your children. I've explained to every sparrow in the room. This is a Facebook situation. There's nothing we can do other than laugh and just carry on.
That's all you can do. That's the best medicine anyway.
Laughter.
It's my first time, so we can expect all kinds of wonderful stuff. Anyway, I started writing again in 1970. The premise of my book, the reason I needed to get it done, I came from, I'm an only child. I grew up what was considered back in that time middle class for Black people. But I was an unwanted only child. My mother didn't want me, and from things I've heard from her, she said that when I was an infant, he would rush to change my diapers before she could get to me. So my father subsequently had been molesting me from infancy, and it culminated in him assaulting me at 11. When I told, I was called a liar and a slut and a whore and everything else, and I was put out of the house and moved to the projects with his sister, who was filthy. He had eight kids, and I was molested by one of the cousins there. So I recanted my story to go back to the hell I knew. What became important to me once I started writing, this is something that I'm ashamed to say it, but it's my truth. I was always a very bright child. I thought it was because they didn't know how to handle me, but it wasn't really that. They were both mentally ill. My mother would blindfold me, tie me to a chair, gag me, and put me in the closet for hours simply for talking. There were no hugs. You hugged her, you got pinched, you got plugs of meat pulled out of you. My daughter can, and my son can probably attest to her pinches. She wasn't warm. I was purely a responsibility. That's something she reminded me of when I was pregnant with my daughter, and I asked her, did she remember me kicking inside of her? She said, no, I was just a responsibility, and I still was because she was there. I was very sick. Wow. So I went through several crises. I got married, and I was betrayed by my husband. I was left with 3 small children. Actually, I was pregnant with my daughter when he left. And I had gone into, it wasn't about domestic violence or anything, that it was marital unfaithfulness. And
Okay.
it was another betrayal. It was a big lie that I had been told, and I believed because I was in love. And the only thing that really came out of it is I got three pretty kids.
Those are
And
good gifts.
yeah, I got. There's no ugly in my family. I can say that with being proud. Um,
Wow.
uh, so when that new thing happened that I got divorced, we were high school sweethearts. So when we got divorced, that put me in a spin of depression. But I didn't really have time to be depressed because I had three children.
Right.
I was living 2,000 miles away from home,
Wow.
and I was all alone. So I was told by my parents if I came back to Jersey, I could, get back on my feet. I could take the apartment that was upstairs in our two-family home. And that became another living hell once I got there. I got charged more rent than any tenant had ever paid. I had curfews. If I went out and came back with my children after 9 o'clock, I was locked out of the house. Um,
Mm.
I was told I only came back to take my father away from her. It was a bunch of things.
Wow.
So
Well,
what what
goodness.
what happened over years and years, I was looking for love in all the wrong places. A friend of mine who was my best friend at the time, whose sister had encouraged me to go to the police when my father was about to rape me for the third weekend. Um, I met her nephew and we got married. I was raised a Jehovah's Witness, so you weren't supposed to have sex until you got married. And of course, I kept that as far as I could, after being assaulted by my dad.
Right.
There was nobody until I got married. But I was always told I was going to not amount to anything. I was dumb, stupid, and ugly. That I was going to have a house full of babies and no daddy. And when I came back with my children divorced, and all of them had the same daddy, even though we're chocolate, vanilla, and strawberry. I was told I still proved it right. I still had a house full of babies and no daddy. So there was kind of no win. But what really happened after I did get back, I went back up to my high school. It was the second best high school in the city of Newark at the time. It was primarily Jewish and Italian doctors and lawyers' kids, and the blacks of us were only 5%. I graduated out of a class of 648, and I was number 63.
Look.
I was on the honors roll all the time. That's how I had to prove I had any value. I didn't get clothes or anything unless I brought home a good report card. I had to work. I got a job at 10. I always had to keep a job. And when I had a job, I had to pay rent
So you
from 10 on,
from 10 on
Uh,
you were paying rent?
yeah, whatever I made, I had to put some money into rent. So I learned a lot through all of the abusive things. I did learn how to cook, how to take care of myself, and how to be a strong, independent woman, whether I wanted to be or not. Um, After I got married to my friend's nephew, he was an abuser. My children's father didn't have nothing to do with me till I got married, and then he would call all the time.
Hmm.
This man was extremely jealous. So at the time, I was only 105 pounds, and this man was 6'2", and he would pick me up by the arms, lift me up, and put me on the wall and drop me. My parents lived right downstairs, but they did nothing. So when he finally left, um, I was asked to move out because I had gone on a date, left the babysitter in the house. Got back home, my mom said, "Oh, I need to talk to you right now." And I said, "Well, I have company. Well, he can sit down in the living room." So I go in the back and she says, "I ought to whoop your tail," coming in and after she left the kids and all this. I said, "Ma, I was 36 years old." I was not a baby. I wasn't even 36. I was probably 28. something like that.
Okay.
And so I said, well, what am I supposed to do while you're trying to do that? So she made me get out of her house. So I found a place. But before that had even happened, um, we had gone to the flea market. We would do that every Friday night,
Mm-hmm.
get away from everything. We couldn't even watch the TV shows that we wanted to watch. It was just like being in jail. So I would give the kids their allowance. We would go to the flea market, we'd eat, and then they'd scatter and go spend their money, and then we'd meet back up. But this particular night, we stayed a little too long. And by the time I would get home, the door was going to be locked. So I had called a cousin and told him what was going to happen. Went up to his house. I wasn't a drinker. We had screwdrivers, I think there were. I wasn't a smoker, and he was smoking pot. I'd never done that. I am as lame could go for being protected and naive. I was that.
It's okay.
But all the rest of it, you know.
Right.
And we made a pallet for the boys on the couch. Me and my daughter are laying on the floor, and somewhere around 4 o'clock in the morning, I awakened to my cousin trying to enter my body with my daughter laying next to me. I started crying and told him, please don't do this. Why are you doing this? And I guess my son had heard me sniffling. And so when my son made a move, he rolled off of me.
Right.
And I got up and went into the bathroom, and my son came in with me, and he said, Mom, if you don't get my sister and brother up, I'm going to beat him to death with his motorcycle chains. So about 5:30 in the morning, I pack my kids in my car, and we sit in the IHOP parking lot until it opens up. So this is the third betrayal I've had in so many years. That one was so bad I wanted to run in front of a bus. Um, the order might be a little out of sync, but these are the things that have happened. Um, of course, I couldn't tell my mom or my dad because they didn't believe me when it was inside the house.
Right.
I went to my religious leaders, and they told me they should throw me out because I in the first place.
Okay,
It's
she's
just,
frozen just momentarily and back.
oh, again, my mouth is
You're
moving.
fine.
You don't.
I hear
Okay.
you.
Um,
It just froze just for a
you
moment.
hear me? Do you see
I
me too?
I see you,
I
dear.
I still see you.
I
Okay.
see you.
Um, so fast, huh? So
Go ahead.
fast forward, it was a series of going in and out of deep depressions. When I finally had moved to this other house, I did attempt suicide. I thought my children would be better off without me because I thought I wasn't worth anything.
My goodness.
Um, and subsequently, I went in and out of the hospital several times until 94. I think it was 94. There was an ad on TV.
Mm-hmm.
It was a hospital in Illinois called Raiders Institute, and they were saying if you've been a victim of childhood sexual abuse, or you're an overeater, or whatever the trauma could be, then you needed to make a call. And I was right at the edge at that moment, and I made the call. And the lady says, you need to come right now. Find someone to take, they were teenagers by then. Find someone to take care of your children.
Uh-huh.
I'm sending you a plane ticket. And I was put in that hospital for 30 days where I got art therapy, retrogression therapy, group therapy, one-on-one, music therapy, everything. So by the time those 30 days, and I journaled, and I confronted all of my abusers at the time.
Good.
My mother, my father, my first husband.
Good for you.
Those things are in the book. I sent them registered mail to them. So I know they got them. Um, so it was like after that, I went a long stretch without, any real drama. I was starting to tell you I had gone back up to my high school when I got back
Mm-hmm.
to see my counselors. And she said to me, well, what college did you go to? I said I didn't. My parents wouldn't pay for me to go. And so she pulled out my transcript and called what's now Kane University,
Okay.
called their admissions office, sent them my records. And within 2 weeks, I had a grant, I had a scholarship,
That is
I
awesome.
had a I had a job, and I had daycare for my two youngest kids.
Awesome.
Um, I went 5 years. I graduated magna cum laude.
Of course you did.
Um, and I'm in all kinds of honor societies. I think there's about five of them I'm in. And when I started doing those things, a little bit of pride showed up in my parents because they had to keep coming to all of these things.
Of course.
Um,
Wow, that's so.
but it never really did change. So my writing got really, really, um, that was my savior from the 90s on until I met a jazz diva. Her name was Rashima. I'd gone to her show and I'd asked her if she, ever needed anybody to write words for her or whatever. And we became real good friends. She was like the mother I didn't have. And she took me to her shows and she would have her band play behind me as I read my poetry.
I love.
So I wrote a book called Stop and Smell the Roses,
Yeah.
used at performances, and I sold 240 copies of those. So fast forward a couple of years later, I started writing again, and I said, well, I really want to get this published, but didn't have the money. And then I got the money, and it got used for something else, and I never got back to that.
Right.
Still writing, and I moved all the way from my fan base to Huntsville, Alabama, where I know it no one except my daughter and her three kids and my son-in-law. And
It was actually
about
saving for you. You needed the
yes,
family. So,
so about 4.5 years ago, I lost my best friend in the whole world. We knew each other from third grade. That was the only person I knew loved me unconditionally. I had been in Huntsville for 2 years without a therapist. And 3 weeks before she died, I found a therapist. And they both agreed to each other being good for me. And then she passed away. So he got me through that grief. And 8 months after she passed, her brother passed away. And his wife, who I met at her funeral, sent for me to come to Colorado to eulogize her husband because he would have wanted me there,
right.
and made a ticket for 3 weeks. We had only met at the funeral, but we talked after the funeral. They kept me lifted up. They took Levon's place. And so those things are in the book. I sat in the woods up in Monument, Colorado, where my children had been born in Colorado. Um, it was the second time I had been back in 40 years.
Right.
And I just looked at everything and looked at had the gratitude of the beauty that God had created around me.
Nature.
Nature was a
Nature.
wonderful thing. So my therapist had told me, well, you need to get out and go do some stuff. Go to the senior center. In case you haven't figured it out, I will be 70 years old in September.
Kind of
So
figured.
the kids you are talking to are your age. Well, one will soon be your age.
Yeah.
My daughter's younger. Yeah.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, I told them, I said, I live in a senior building. I don't want to be around. I don't think old. I don't act old. I don't think I even look old.
You
So
don't?
therefore, I don't want to be around a much crabby old people. So he said, well, you're an ageist. So I looked up the book to see what was going on, and I saw there was a creative writing class in there, and I put it in my phone 2 years ago. And at 12:30, the alarm would ring, and I said, no, I'm going. So I had a very good friend here that I lost, not in death, but because of family getting involved and her picking them over me, which I understand because she's 96 years old. But it
Mm.
crushed me. It was like another abandonment. And I mean, I would slip and call her mom because I could not get me mom out my mouth. That's what they were called. I'm from Jersey. I couldn't do it.
Well, I
So anyway, I'm
Good
sitting in
job.
here. Yeah, I'm sitting in here just like I'm having another death experience, and the alarm goes off. And I said, I can't go back down that rabbit hole. I walked it. You saw what I was looking like earlier. Well, it was probably worse than that. Right.
You're fine.
I went in the mirror and I said, can you get dressed in a half an hour? And so I did. And I went into the class. The teacher was talking about poetry and how he thought it should rhyme. Not that it had to, but that the higher educated people thought that it didn't have to. Well, I don't rhyme. So I thought, okay. But this is one thing I wanted to say, though. God had a hand in all of this. I had gotten rebaptized, joined a church, had talked to the elder that was in charge of my area,
Right.
but we could not find each other in the church. So I knew the name, I had the phone number. I get in the class and I sit down and I look across the table and the lady's name is on a notebook. And when we broke, I said, can I ask you a question? He says, yes. I said, do you go to the Rock? She said, yes. I said, well, I'm Patricia Woolfork. We've been looking for each other for 2 weeks. We met in the class. Not only did that happen, but I told her I don't rhyme. She says, well, read it anyway. So he comes back from the break and he says, okay, who wants to read? I raised my hand. I said, well, you said they should rhyme, but I don't, but I'm going to read this. And he got up on the counter and crossed his arms and crossed his legs and had a little bit of, let's see. And I read one of those things that I had written in Colorado. And when I stopped, people were stamping their feet and clapping their hands. One man said, no one will ever read that like you. You need to be on the radio or you got to do a CD, which is my next step, hopefully. The teacher got up off of the counter. He had a tear in his eye. He's giving me a standing ovation. He said there was not a single rhyme in that piece, but I felt the breeze, saw the trees, saw the sky being painted in the colors. I heard the dogs bark. I saw the squirrels going through the grass. I saw it and felt it all. He said there's some people can throw meals together, some can follow a recipe real good, but then you have the Michelin chef. That's the top of the line.
Yes.
He said, you, my dear, are a Michelin word chef.
And you are that.
And so
And you're right.
after about the third week of reading, the daughter says to me, Miss Patricia, I wish somebody would really pick you up big because your words are outstanding. You need to get them done. And I said, yeah, and I'm getting old, so I do need to hurry this up. And she gave me a proposal, which I couldn't afford. And so another few weeks happened. And then I got in class, the teacher asked me, could he take me to lunch? And I got to lunch, and what their business had done, they had gotten together all of the family and all the board of directors and everything, and they made a grant just for me
That is
to
lovely.
get published, where they did this beautiful cover and the graphics inside and out and the layout. I did a lot of the editing and stuff. A couple of pieces are missing, but I've already started the second book.
Of course
So
you have.
they'll be in there.
Follow up.
But it's a story about my anger and frustration, the things that I put my children through, the joys and the disappointments, the human experience, what losing the only person you knew loved you unconditionally felt like.
Right.
That you talked to every day from 10th grade until the day before she died, where I said to her, if there's a heaven, you will have diamonds in your tiara on your halo and gold tipped wings for putting up with me and loving me like this. And the next day I got the call. She was gone.
You know what?
So I've had people directed in my path.
Mm-hmm.
And had I not picked up that alarm that day, gotten up off of this recliner, this would have never happened. So this started in October. My book just came out on January 3rd.
Everything.
I personally sold more than 50.
Right.
I need people to go and review what they've read. and have an open mind. It's not for children, but it is for children because children are going through this.
Every day.
My goal is to let them know you don't have to get almost 70 years old to have your voice heard. There are people just like me all over the world that you never would suspect. My high school friend that I talk to constantly now said she never had a clue. Never had a clue that that was what was going on with me.
Well, you know, the thing
So,
is, you know, not sharing it at the time because of what happened in the beginning when you did share it, you were not believed.
right.
And that's 9 times out of 10 of what happens. You
Hmm.
have, you know, you muster up the courage to tell somebody you trust and you think they're going to do something about it and don't. So to be
Right.
disappointed in that way and feeling like you were abandoned, my goodness, it was your mother.
Oh, yeah, I was.
That was your
I
mother.
was abandoned living inside the house,
Right.
you know.
That's tough.
I got the mother I always wanted because she has dementia. Now she loves me, she hugs me, she gives me kisses. She tries to introduce me to everybody over and over and over again.
Right.
And I've never mistreated her. I respect her because she got me this far. Had these things not happened to me, I know I'm responsible for a lot of them because when you don't have the background of love, you don't feel loved and protected. And I didn't protect my children like I ought to have because I didn't know I needed to. This is where I'm talking about being the naive. I thought that my father was bothering me because he was an alcoholic with a distant wife, and my mother worked nights and I was available. But that wasn't the case. My
Yeah.
father was a serial pedophile. He did it to a daughter before me. He did it to a daughter after me. He touched my child. He needs to be right where he is. So if I use the word MF describing the man who I find out just recently what he had been doing to my child, he deserves to be called an MF. If I relate to you that I got into my third marriage, because again, I'm in this, you're not supposed to get a milk away for free,
Right.
thinking I'm doing the right thing. I marry and I get an alcoholic and drug addict that is a functional one I don't even know. But I don't know about none of this stuff. Who wants to smack me around, and I'm thinking, well, I deserved it because I'm not valuing myself. But
Well,
once
how
I
could
got
you?
enough,
How
once
could
I
you?
got enough,
Right.
once I got enough, you know, he can tell you I whooped him pretty good, and he's 6 feet too. And I went to the
My thing
police and
is,
told them he had hit me. I told the police he
right.
had hit me and where they could find me if he was dead. So, but nobody has to go through those things. The one thing you have to learn to do, which is the hardest thing to do when you don't have that background, is to love yourself. Nobody else can do that but you.
Right.
I was at one stage where I said I like me. I love me a whole lot more, but there's still a lot more to do. You have to be careful who you share things with. Everybody is not your friend. Everybody does not care for your best interest.
Right.
People are out to throw monkey wrenches in you and hurt you, which was happened to me recently. Somebody posted a really negative review, shot my ratings down, went to my church and talked about it. Now I can't even talk about my book or promote it or sell it on campus. Do you not think that that did not hurt me? It put me into a PTSD moment.
I
When I
remember
went to
that day.
class and read something, I shook
I
for
remember
20 minutes and cried silently.
use
So
it
it
for
brings
fuel.
flashbacks and all kinds of things. But I'm writing and I'm happy and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
This is my time. Where else could my book come out in a Me Too moment when my Me Too moment started in 1961
Hmm.
or more? Could have started in 1949 on the day I was born and came home to a pedophile
You came
who
home
had
to a
groomed me,
pedophile.
who had groomed
However,
me.
wait a minute. Let me say this. You said both
Hmm.
of your parents had mental issues.
Yeah.
It was mental illness that you
My
have.
mother was verbally and physically abusive, emotionally abusive.
It comes in so many shapes and sizes, and the
Yes.
picture unveils. Because mental illness isn't always someone who's sitting with a straight jacket on, rocking
No,
out of a plain glass window. It's not that.
no.
It's your parents, it's your cousin, it's
Mhm.
your sibling, and
Mhm.
it comes in different ways. And it's
Right.
about having knowledge and knowing how to recognize those things. And when someone come to you and share these secrets that they're having to deal with these demons every day, listen. Please
Right.
listen. Because you
Every
never
time
know.
I have shared, somebody has given me their story, and I can tell them it's not going to always be this bad, but it does take work. You need to get a therapist. You need to get
Yes,
somebody you can trust. And
right.
you need to have somebody. The last time I had attempted suicide, my best friend made me promise that I would never do anything to harm myself without calling her first. And when she died, I said, what am I going to do now?
Live
And
and
so
remember
now
her.
I live. She's in my book.
Right.
There's a whole section. The book was supposed to be 5 different books, but I figured I better get it going while the going's good. Um, the first part is chasing the beauty in nature. The next part is observations that cause my pen to move.
Hmm.
The third part is journey in search of self, explanations, confrontations, and reflections. The next part is a portrait of grieving and loss.
Hmm.
Whether you lose someone in death or you lose a relationship,
Right.
it's still a loss
Right.
and there's grieving.
Right.
The next part is an adult journey of discovery, which includes love and romance. My daughter's wedding, that I wrote a poem for her, is in there. My grandson's is in there. It's about the beautiful parts of dating and, stuff like that. And then the next part is passion, hot and spicy. So if you need to spice up your love life, there are things in there that, that those were actually, um, there was a poet that I was in class with many years ago, and he would read these sensual poems. He'd call me up and read one to me, and then I'd have to go to sleep and think about this, right? So we would do rhetorical, not rhetorical, but response poems.
Right.
And so one day I wrote one called Feel So Good. It's in the book. And I called him at work and wrecked his whole day. But he said it was the best one I'd ever written. When I was performing with jazz bands, that was one that was always called for. And you can ask the son online there how embarrassing it would be. But it has been a journey. I feel very blessed. I feel liberated. I feel like this is my mission to help other people. Even if the book never sold another copy, which I hope it does, because you see, I do need teeth. Um,
That's right. You are
uh,
going to sell many copies of this book. It's just about getting
so,
information out.
but the thing that I want to do mostly is tell everybody it's not too late. You're not alone. You are valuable. God didn't make a mistake. He
Mm-mm.
made you with a purpose. He knew every hair on your head before you were born. He had a plan for you. It might not come in the time you want it to come.
Yes.
It wasn't my time in 96.
Right.
It wasn't my time when I moved away. But it became my time because I finally listened to something that was an unspeakable voice from him to get out of this chair and go where he had told me to go 2 years ago,
Love.
but was too stubborn to do it. But when I finally did it, look what happened. Lickety split. I actually have a book in my hand
Savoring Eden.
that will never go anywhere.
Yes.
It will never go anywhere. My children, whether they um, are proud or whether they have issues with me, they know their mom is here. I know that I love them. I love them as best as I knew how to love them.
Right.
And I apologize for all the mistakes. I take full responsibility for all the actions that I did. And I even admit all of that in my book too. So this is um, just something I just want to share worldwide because it's a plague and it's been hidden for so long, especially in Black families. They don't talk about that stuff. But when I heard Maya Angelou's story, she was one of my mentors. Lord of mercy, if I had ever got a chance to meet her, her and Oprah were the two women I wanted to meet most because they shared my story.
Yeah.
And now it's possible.
It is.
Just word of mouth. You know somebody that I don't know, you talk about my book and you tell somebody, you buy one and tell somebody else to buy one. Have them reach out to me and talk. Let us have groups like this just on that subject. Let people talk. I was listening to somebody on another, one of my friends had somebody talking, just texting, and he was talking about how he had been abused by his dad. And this is a man finally, after all these years, saying it on Facebook, and all of his friends coming on and telling him congratulations. And there was an opportunity, so I took it.
I'm glad you
I
took.
told him about the book.
Yeah.
I told him, I gave him ways he could contact me. We texted for 2 hours on the phone, just texting back and forth. And I said, get all of those friends who are supporting you and let's get a group going so we can have conversation. So you will learn the steps that I already have learned. I direct you to a book that I had in the hospital that takes even family members and friends of people who've been a bit. It's hard to deal with us because we don't even know all of the stuff. Some stuff is so buried deep within. We got anger issues that nobody knows about, you know. So
Reasons behind
if
that.
your mate doesn't understand where you're coming from, you're not going to get fixed, you know. If you don't even know who you are,
Exactly.
you got to find yourself because we
Exactly.
got lost
That's where it
in
starts.
all of that. Yeah,
It starts
you got to
there.
find yourself. Got to
Because
find
something
yourself.
like that is happening to you from a child up through adult. It
Yeah,
changes your
up
perspective on
until
who you are.
up until 1990, no, 2003 was when I walked away from the last abusive relationship.
And it's easy to get into those types of relationships because you were not taught love. You said you didn't get the hugs, you didn't get the love from home. So if you were abused by your parents and not shown love, it's easy for you to connect with someone that you're attracted to because of what you now know versus what you should have known. But if
Yeah,
you didn't get
but
that,
they
how
they
would you
don't
get it?
show you they don't show you that side until you're in it.
Right. The
You
surprise
know, it's in it.
moments. Yes.
The
And
one that
sometimes
you,
it did.
the one that would bring you coffee on the way to work is the one that'll punch you upside the head as you walk away.
Yes,
You
there
know.
are signs. There are signs in those
Yeah.
relationships. It's all in how you catch that sign and how you deal with it in those moments. I mean,
Oh yeah.
speaking from experience from a marriage that wasn't, and in my book, it's called Fairy Tale to Hell.
That's
It,
what
it,
I got. I have one in
it
my book
moved.
called the
It moved
Requiem
in
of a
different things.
Disgruntled Housewife.
Yes, it's one of those. But in that
Yeah.
moment, when he stood up and he was the person I didn't recognize, I knew
Hmm.
because of hearing stories like yours or hearing stories from other women in other relationships, I knew I had a split second to change the narrative of that story. And I
Right.
took it. And so
And you know, they
therefore,
don't
it
even
didn't
have to
lead to
hit you.
anything else.
They don't even have to hit you if they question where you're going, if they're keeping
Absolutely.
you away from your friends and family, if they're verbally abusing you, calling you stupid, or, you know, telling you to shut the F up, you know, any of that stuff.
You're right.
And do it in front of your children as well. You have to renegotiate your thinking. You know, you got to find an escape plan. I don't care what the old folks used to say, that you keep a bank account with your mate. What happened with my mama doing that? my father stole $100,000, and she didn't find out till after she was dead. So now when she asks about him, she asks me, did she kill him?
Oh my goodness. Patricia, you
Where's
know,
my husband?
yeah.
He's dead, Mom. Did I kill him? No, but you probably wanted to.
Yes, but I tell you what, I applaud you for having the courage to put this in a book because it's your story and
It's my
nobody can
story.
paint your picture better than you can because you lived it. We all have stories, but it's up to
Hmm.
us to share it with other people to make a
Right.
difference in their lives because
Yeah.
it doesn't matter what you went through, what I went through, or the next person, but you have to share your stories to change the lives of somebody else.
Something good will come out of it.
Yeah.
Not for you. You're not doing it for you. That's the one
Yes.
thing. It's not an ego trip. It's what was my purpose. I don't want to have been here, wasted space, and took up somebody else's air.
Right.
I want it to be because it meant something. I want it to mean something for those that's coming behind me. I'm an only child. So if I hadn't had children, there wouldn't be no more of me left. But now look how many I got. I got a new one, you know.
Whole new
I got,
family.
and then I have a daughter from another mother. She has three.
Uh-huh.
So I count them too, you
Okay.
know. So I'm not alone. I'm more happy than I've ever been. I've got some challenges ahead, like we all do,
Of course.
but I had the forbearance to meet up with you by accident.
It was not
Look
accidental.
at what has happened just because my son told me, excuse me, get on LinkedIn. I looked up authors and there your pretty little face was. And how long did we talk? You
Quite a
know?
few hours.
Yeah. And so here I am.
I'm grateful to
That's only God. So anybody who says that I was offensive and they love me as their sister in Christ, but not my book, you weren't being Christian because the Christian was supposed to go to the one who offended them first and try and settle it. Had they called me, I could have explained the reasons,
true.
which the book already does.
True.
It has a disclaimer on the very first page that it's adult material, just like they do in a movie, you know.
Exactly.
So, you know, there was no reason you couldn't have read it because I went maybe 3/4 of the way in the book before I saw profanity.
Yeah.
Maybe 13 and 315 pages.
Well, considering the
So,
circumstances and what you were
yeah,
writing
if I had
about,
done it anyway, other way, you wouldn't have believed me.
exactly. You had to paint
You
it.
know,
Paint the
you,
picture.
you wouldn't have believed me had I said, oh, he was pleasuring himself against my thigh. No, he masturbated against my thigh. That's what he did. So why would I change that?
Exactly.
You know,
You
we've got
can't change one
we've
piece.
got a president that cusses on international television. I have 13 words in a book.
Well, like I said to you before when you called me about that, it
Yeah,
wasn't about what you wrote in the book. It was about what resonated with her by what you wrote in the book.
yeah.
Everybody's not ready to share their stories. However, if we read something or see something that triggers, then it's easy to spiral out. So if
Mm,
I can't share my story, I can hurt you or maybe stop you from sharing
yeah,
yours.
yeah.
And
Well, the
it's important.
devil is a liar. Devil is a liar, and everybody on here who loves beautiful writing. I'm not being a big head. I was reading the proof, and I got halfway through the proof before I realized, girl, this is your book. You wrote this. This came out of your head. I
It's
couldn't believe.
juicy,
I said,
huh?
well, yeah, but I had been told that long ago. But no, it finally seeing it and holding it,
Right.
and not even. It was like I had picked this up in Barnes and Noble, and I was just, oh, this is good. Let's keep on going.
Exactly.
That's weird. Do you feel that way with your
I
books
do
too?
feel that. I
It
read
was,
stuff, even
it was,
stuff I was writing the past couple of days for the new book. And I was like, oh my God, that's juicy. That is juicy. And
hmm
so when it comes out, because you know, I write to music. I talk about it all the time. I
Yeah.
write to music. And certain times I'll put on some music, maybe something I've heard before or not, and it resonates in my spirit. And I just start writing. Everything is
I've got to
pouring,
try that.
and it just pours.
I've got to try that. I
Please do
usually
that.
be in a quiet space or outside when I write, or sometimes something will come in my head in the middle of the night
Uh-huh.
and I'll have to get up. There's a girl popped into my head one night and I just got up and started writing. I couldn't wait to tell you. It's in the book. I couldn't wait to tell you.
Yes.
You know,
It's
and
wonderful. Whatever
there's
works.
just there's so much beauty in there. There's I took a journey. There's a naturopath in Brooklyn. Her name is Queen Afua, and she's a vegan, and they do vibrations and all that stuff. And I took a class with her,
Yeah.
and we became very, very friendly when we were in class. And so we had to write different things, and I wrote about the metamorphosis a caterpillar takes
Mm.
from being that caterpillar until becoming that
The
beautiful
butterfly.
butterfly.
Yeah.
That's why my book has a butterfly on it.
Love
You
it.
know, you're an ugly little thing. Nobody other than me. I was a tomboy, so I love all that kind of mess. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that metamorphosis that you look a little crazy and then you go in that cocoon and you got to fight your way out of that cocoon and then your wings got to
And you
dry
come
and then
out.
you fly off.
Yeah.
But then there's a story that she made us. She said, write a story if my vagina could talk. And when you think about the things you have gone through, what would she say? That's in the book.
That is powerful.
My tribute to Maya Angelou is in the book. You know, there's so much that doesn't have anything to do with the traumas of anybody's life. We all fall in and out of love. We lose loved ones. We
Yeah.
see the beauty in nature. We
Yeah.
love a day at the beach. There's a poem in there about
Yeah.
every day should be like a day at the beach. Spring is here now. There's a poem in here about spring and opening up the windows and putting the snowblower away and taking out the leaf blower. You know,
The
it's
season.
smelling the Clorox when you're doing the
Yeah.
spring cleaning. It's in there. You're going to have all of your senses touched just by reading my words. And something that you may have seen in someone else that you didn't recognize, you say, aha, that's what it is. But then I also
Beautiful.
give you in the back of the book, I tell you about the book of Courage to Heal. Go get that book for you to read to understand your loved one and for them to get the healing that they need. I'm not a psychologist, but I got a real good one who can advise me. You know,
You know what? The
so
advice is
but
directed to you to speak
nothing is
from what.
more like going
Yeah.
through it on your own, having
Yeah.
done it. Haven't done it.
Yeah.
You could ask any of my kids. They've seen me curled up in a ball in the closet from a migraine so bad I had to be led out of the house to the hospital.
Mm.
You know, days I just couldn't, you know, I would get up and do for them, but I was sad, you know. I
Well,
really
how are
just
you now? At
I'm
this
great.
very moment. You're
Right
great.
this very moment, I've had two very beautiful days. Two very beautiful days. On Monday, ladies and gentlemen, and my children and my friend, the niece, thank you. She has her picture in my book.
Uh-huh.
She is an artist. Look, 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 look. See, Denise, there
Awesome.
you are.
Awesome, Denise.
This is her painting.
Oh,
That one belongs to me, but she can make you another one. I
that's
told her I got dibs on that
beautiful.
one. But to me, I saw a woman. If you get the book, you look over on this side, I see a woman in the midst of chaos.
Yes.
So what I put on that page was, I chose this painting done by my friend Denise Genius because it represented to me chaos and beauty. It called out to me because I could see myself within it. Can you find her?
I love that.
You know, so it's a conglomeration of a bunch of things, and it's just the beginning. All I need is some help.
And you're
Oh, I
getting
needed
it.
some
You're
help,
getting it. Even by
you
being here
know.
right now, you don't know who's going to see this footage. You don't know where you're going to be
Absolutely.
tomorrow, next week. That's why
Yes.
when we spoke, I knew it was a necessity to have you here. I knew I
And
was going to have to bring you here.
I
Now,
so enjoyed it. And Monday night, I was getting ready to say, everybody go back and look at Monday night's show. You have to look up Whittington Still. If you are a fan of Phyllis Hyman,
yeah,
this is as close as you're going to get until you get to heaven.
exactly.
Because she is awesome. We talked a couple of hours the other night. She's a
Yeah,
Jersey girl too.
and that's beautiful. She's a Jersey
And
girl.
see,
But
this
this is
is
your
this.
time to shine. We are
Yeah.
talking about you. We are talking about Savoring Eden.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
Denise just gave you a shout out. She said this is a great show and
Mm,
that it's time for your voice to be heard. That's just me,
yeah.
just rounding about
Yeah.
what she said because it keeps
Mhm.
filtering up with comments. And your daughter, Heather, said that you've inspired her to write her book. So by
That's
you
good.
sharing your life, it inspires other people. It
Yeah.
does. So no matter
My
what you've
daughter
gone
is
through,
awesome. She's been through a lot,
yeah,
and I'm very proud of her. She just got her master's degree summer before
congratulations.
last. She's getting another one. She's got a good job. She's got a nice family, a good home. She's been married almost, I don't know, 20 years, I think. It's hard to remember stuff like
That's
that.
beauty within itself.
She's upwardly mobile, and I only wish the best for all of my children. My son is a graphic artist. He has his own business,
Good.
um, and he's in New Jersey. And I mean, I have nothing to be ashamed of. I think that they turned out beautifully, in spite of me. And they turned out
Because
well.
of you. It's not in spite of.
They aspired to me being so hard at trying to get a better life for them. They never
Yes.
really went without anything, although I was a
Right.
single mom. I
Right.
did whatever it took. Maybe I didn't do all things the right way, but it was to get them what they needed and where they needed to go.
Yeah.
And they have made it this far. I made them to almost 50 years old, and Heather is my baby. She's not 50, but they're all adults. And so mama time is mama time now.
It is. So
But I need their assistance. I need their encouragement.
yeah.
I need their forgiveness. You know,
From what
we
I can,
all do.
you have it. You have it. They're
We
here in
all
support
do.
of you tonight.
Yes, that is
You know they're
wonderful. Oh,
supportive
she
of
said 19 years. Okay, I got it. And
yeah.
she said because of me. Oh, wonderful.
It is because of you, not
Oh,
in
mercy.
spite of. And you know, you and I are always going back and forth about us changing your words that you choose to speak over yourself. And it's all
Yes.
gracious things. And it comes from you going through so much in your life. It's easy. But we're going to change that one step at a time, right? Aren't we,
Yes, we
Patricia?
are.
Oh,
Yes, we
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
Yes, we
This
are.
is it's happening and it is your time to shine. You've gone through enough. You've paved the way. So other people like myself, like your daughter, Denise, everybody that you cross paths with, we can
Mhm.
glean from information that you have to share. You know, it's that
Yeah.
powerful. And I want you to stand in your grace and accept who you are today because of who you were yesterday. So this is the foundation of where you're going to be tomorrow and all of the tomorrows to come. So
Mhm.
just know that it's happening. I believe in you and you're going to get there.
I believe in me too.
Yes.
I believe in me too. With all the warts and
Right.
everything else, I believe in me. And I was so happy that this group of people believed in me too. This was something awesome to have me be the first recipient of someone with talent that needed to be heard without any strings attached to it. You know,
Yeah.
the marketing is all on me.
Yeah.
And like I've been telling you today, we had a good time trying to get me on here.
I
I
know.
am not tech savvy,
But you did it. Look
but we
at you.
did it. We did it, you
Yeah.
know. So Well, I did cheat though. I went to Five Below and bought this stand that the phone is on, and there was a young boy with his girlfriend in the store, and I said, "Is this thing going to work?" And I took out my phone. I said, "How do I have to put it in here horizontally?" I had him laughing. I said, "We'd be asking my grandson, but you right here." And so they showed me how to do it. And so, okay, where am I supposed to look? And they did that, and they were so sweet, and they wished me a beautiful day, and it was. I've had a perfect day.
I'm proud of
I've
you.
had a perfect day. I've had 2 perfect days. God is blessing me with people who have been buying my book and then telling other people about it and calling me up. Can I get another one? And I've signed maybe 40 books.
Awesome.
So anybody
So
that
tell the
wants
Sparrows where you can get
yeah,
it.
you can. The book is on Amazon.com. Patricia Ann Woolfork or Savoring Eden. It is also in a Kindle. If you want a autograph copy, you have to send me a message at savoringeden910@yahoo.com. I do have Cash App, which is also Savoring Eden, but I need to know where I need to send it. The book is $20. The shipping with insurance is $5.27. I'll eat some of that, but I need at least $25 sent to me for me to mail you the book.
Okay.
And I will sign it, and you'll have me with you and pass it on down. And if you love it, tell somebody else to buy. If every family just bought one and told somebody to buy one, we could do this together. This is where it takes a village.
It does.
And we have to support one another.
It does.
I had gone to something, it was an African American Better Business Bureau meeting. And this woman was selling a book, and it was about taxes and wills and all of this stuff. And I really could use that, with the book coming out. So
Right.
I had been introduced about my book, and I told them about the book. So I went over to her. I said, "Would you like to exchange books?" She says, "No." And I went ahead and bought her book anyway. But the easiest thing would have been, well, of course, they cost the same thing.
But
But
you know
it was
what?
just,
Everybody's
okay,
not there.
right,
Everybody's not in
right,
that space to
right.
pay it forward. It wouldn't cost you.
But that's what if you want to be successful in anything you do, you have to think outside of yourself. You
Exactly.
have to think, how can I help somebody else?
Right.
If she had read the book and passed it on, she would have got something great out of it. If it was
True
nothing
fact.
but one of the nature poems,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe she needed some spice in her life. The reason she was crappy that day, she could have read one of those hot and spicy poems, got it started.
Well, you
You
know what,
never know.
Lynn?
You never know.
First of all, I love the fact that you have hot and spicy poems in your book. And it's going from
Oh
one
yeah,
extreme of life to the other. And
that's
that
what we
keeps it
do.
interesting.
That's what we do. We go through
Yeah,
all these different levels, and we
it does.
repeat some of the things over and over again until we learn the lesson. The lesson I learned in the last month was you don't trust everyone with your product. You have to be careful who you talk to.
And
I
not just
did
the
that because I
product,
was
but the
excited.
listening.
I had just picked the books up from the publisher. I had a carton of 30 books in my hand, and I was going to a meeting. I took it inside, and I said, "Oh, Pastor, look, I finally got a book." He bought the book in 2 seconds, told me to do a testimony, and I told him exactly what the book was about and that I wanted a ministry to happen.
Amen.
And not 10 days later, that review came out. And I only sold 2 books that night. So I know who the person was
Because
that
you
did
bless
all of
them.
this.
You bless
Oh, yeah.
them.
I will bless them with an apology for offending them like they should have done to me.
Keep
And
standing.
that way I won't call anybody out, but the next time I
Please
come to the
don't.
meeting,
No,
I won't call anybody out.
Okay.
I'll just take the ownership. If I offended anyone with my book, I apologize.
No, you won't. I'm
Please.
going to retract it for you. You will
Okay, go
not
ahead.
apologize for telling your story the way it needed to be told. If they
Oh,
cannot
okay.
handle it, then they need to take a mirror moment within themselves to understand why.
Oh, go send that to me in a text, girl.
Yes, we are not
Woo,
going to have
snap,
any
snap, snap.
apologies. No, ma'am. No apologies for your life. Your story had to be painted the way you needed to paint it to get that
Hmm.
out of your heart and into this universe the way it needs to be to receive by somebody else who's also being abused right now.
Yes, right now.
So do not
Or they
apologize.
know somebody who
Don't do that.
is. You know,
Please don't.
I was at a women's conference at last September I go to every year,
Uh-huh.
and this girl was sobbing and crying, and somebody else had taken her in the room and talked to, and she came and sat right next to me. She was so sad. I thought she had miscarried or something.
Mm.
And I asked her what was the matter, and she told me. And I said, sweetheart, look at me. I'm 69 years old. It was my birthday week. I was going to be 69 the next day, right? I said, I'm 69 years old. I've been through all of those things. If you need to talk to somebody, here's my number. I sat there and I talked to her till the meeting started. At the end of the day, she found me in a crowd of about 1,000 women and told me thank you. And that's what you're supposed to do when you see
Exactly.
somebody hurting. You don't just step over them and walk away. And when you need somebody, you should have somebody available to you when you're in a low moment. Have somebody you can call so you don't reach that last step.
Exactly.
Because life is too important. It's too valuable.
It is.
If I were to take my life right now, my grandkids wouldn't know what I'm about. You know, I got one, that's 1 year old. She's not even one yet, you know? And so these are lessons that get passed on.
They are.
My grandmother was something. I can't be no retard out here in the street acting a fool with my pants hanging off my behind. My grandmother was something. She had smarts, you know?
Exactly.
I am a lady too,
Of course you are.
with
We
with
are.
other tendencies when I get riled. But that was me before. I am working on it. I pray every time. I live in Alabama.
Uh-huh.
For 6 years, I was the only Black person in the building, and a lot of Trump supporters were in here talking mess about Obama, and it was very hard to keep my mouth shut. Or when they would ask, why am I even in here? It's been a rough ride, to keep my mouth where it's supposed to be, especially as a Jersey girl,
Oh yeah.
because we have a reputation of telling you like it is. We
Yeah.
don't have to cuss you out either, but we can
It could be a
politely,
book.
get you told, and as you step away, a piece of your behind is on the ground as you walk away. But anyway, I digress.
Yes.
But I love writing, and it had been a while since it used to be I couldn't write unless I was extremely sad or extremely happy.
Yeah.
Now I go and I find things to write about. I used to read the dictionary when I was a kid. That's what the class was at. How do you know all of these words? Well, I read the dictionary. I was a strange kid. I like Shakespeare. I like Mozart. I'm all over the place. I can cook all different kinds of cuisine. I'm a good cook. To ask
Yes.
them. So I've got I do interior decorating as well.
Right.
I do silk floral arrangements. I'm multitasking and multi-talented. I only
Yes.
got in my own way, and I let the belief of not having the money to do anything would always stop me.
It never does.
But I'm here to tell you right now, this book was done, and I haven't paid not one dime of it yet, and do not have to until I sell 10,000 copies. So, let's get it rolling. Let's get it rolling. Let's
Selling.
tell everybody,
Keep
you know,
selling, and you are going to be phenomenal. That
yes,
I
I
already
do
know.
believe that is the purpose for my being.
Yeah.
With all my heart, I believe that is my purpose.
Sometimes
Otherwise,
you
what
gotta
was
go
the
through pain
point of
to get
all of
there.
that suffering?
Right.
What was the point if it didn't come out to help someone else?
Right. It's not
You know?
serving anyone unless it
No,
is.
no, that's the only reason. And that this was the gift he chose to give me. Out of all the gifts he could give me, he gave me the gift of writing.
Yeah. Isn't it a beautiful thing?
Absolutely.
I love writing.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And when I try to rhyme, it is so difficult. It is
No,
so difficult.
it's
It
not a
has been for
story.
me. It has been for me. If I don't feel genuine when I attempt to do it, I've tried, I attempt, but I like the way I do it. I feel it. What happened when I was in Colorado sitting on the porch, I was just writing in a book. And I never changed it until I typed it. I didn't, how it was on the page,
Right.
but none of the words were changed.
Right.
It was just what flowed between my tears, between my gratitude. I got so much love when I was out there in Colorado.
Right.
I don't know if you can see this little cat up under here. I got a little diamond cat when I first walked in the door.
Aw.
It's right up under here somewhere.
Somewhere.
It's
I
under
see
all
it.
of this. Oh, here she is. See?
Yes.
I have a little kitty cat, and my best friend's sister-in-law, when I walked through the door, she said, I had bought this for Christmas, but I couldn't get it to you. And here's your gift.
Beautiful.
Her kids had never seen me. They almost picked me up off my feet. They came to get me at the airport. They drove me back to the airport on their birthday. And
Oh,
I was like at least 45 minutes from Denver.
uh-huh.
They took me back to my hometown and took me to all the sites, even up to my house and to my next door neighbor, to see them again for the second time in 20 years apart. It was just awesome.
This is your
Awesome,
season.
awesome. So there are always people around who will find the good in you and love you. And we are still friends.
I agree.
We are still
I
friends,
agree.
almost five
I
years
agree.
later, so God puts people
Well,
in
you
your
don't know
life
who
for
paths are you gonna cross.
seasons.
Be excited about it
Yeah,
and
he
embrace
puts
them.
people in your life for seasons. They're not always supposed to stay. That's the lesson I needed to learn.
Yes.
Had he not taken this last particular friend out of my life, I wouldn't have been in that despair to get up and do something.
Fire under your booty.
Right. That's what did it.
Embrace
Knowing I didn't
life.
want to go down that rabbit hole again.
Yeah.
Because I don't want
Was
to
there.
disappoint. I know my friend is still here with me. And I know she's shaking her head sometimes. Well, I'll be darned. Look at her again. But I know, that she still got my back.
Of
And
course.
I'm not going to do nothing to disappoint her
Of course.
or myself.
Of
It's
course.
it's about me being genuine. If anybody can say one thing about me, I am not a liar. I will tell the truth to my own detriment, which is crazy. But when I say that what I put in that book was my truth, it is my truth. It
That's
is as I remember it.
yes.
If I made any mistakes about it, I have already accepted full responsibility for that too.
Uh,
And if you have something you need to say, then you write your story.
yes,
You
because
tell
the two
you
people are
tell your story.
between. Exactly.
Right. You tell your story. And I will accept everything you tell me, because I have blocks of memory that I really don't remember. I really don't.
I
Chunks of them have been coming
sometimes
back in the
block them
last
out.
2 weeks. Yes, chunks of them. That incident stirred some flashbacks. But I'm grateful for them because I needed to get them out. If the more demons you excise out of your body, the more prettier you're gonna be. So
Exactly.
thank you for every criticism, every hate. I got my big girl panties back on, and I'm ready to roll.
What am I gonna do with you? First, I want to ask that you kindly get yourself back in the camera. I can't even see but
Have
part
a lot
of
of
you.
fun.
Okay.
I told you, all my friends are my kids' age. I do not think or act or mostly look almost 70 years old.
You are perfectly
I don't.
fine where you are.
I don't.
And
You
Heather,
know.
your daughter, she was saying God allowed you to go through all of this in order for you to be where you are right now. And that's just
Yeah.
me, you know,
Mhm. Yeah.
just deciding to try to put together what I just saw. But at the
Yeah,
same
she's
time,
telling her story now too.
and I
She
can't
is
wait to
telling
hear
her
more about
story.
it. I
She's
cannot.
telling her story about her story now too.
It's a wonderful
You
thing.
know.
The more you share, the more grace you receive. And
Yeah.
at this time, I'm going to ask because I only shared a portion of your poem online today. It was so
Hmm.
long, I couldn't put the whole thing there, but I thought it would be a great idea to just put a
Okay.
piece
You want?
of it. So as soon as you start reading it, it get juicy, and then it will be
Okay.
the end of it. So they will have to watch tonight in order
Right.
to
I saw
hear you
that.
read it.
Okay.
So
Here
I kept
goes.
that juicy for you.
It's called Reflections,
Okay.
and you're getting a really good thing because it didn't make it in the first book. It was supposed to be, but it is in the second book.
Okay.
So you're getting like Whittington did the other day. You
Exclusive.
know,
I like getting
exclusive.
exclusives here.
Yes,
I've gotten quite a few
exclusive.
of them.
Yeah, right. Okay. I sit here in reflection of my life. Many times I have looked at my life in a negative light, a victim of my circumstances. But when I look at my past experiences with new eyes, I see that some things had to take place in order for me to become the person that I am today. Compassionate, inventive, creative, friendly, outgoing, dependable, loving, intelligent, and talented. Was it fair to be molested, raped, physically and verbally abused, and cheated on? No, it was not. Were there lessons to be learned? Yes. I found a way to survive, how not to treat others, how to be forgiving, and how to be a beacon of hope to others who have had atrocities done to them. I am a living testimony to God's grace and mercy and healing power. He has given me beauty for my ashes. He continues to restore my soul. He provides my food when my funds are low. He sends companions when I suffer from loneliness. He sends me opportunities to share my writing with fellow writers, poets, and lovers of written and spoken word. He encouraged me daily to continue my walk in love and respect for others. He gave me this trip to Colorado to enjoy the landscape and mountain air, as well as to be a support and comfort to my friend, a feat that we can do for each other. I have so much to be grateful for, despite the hardships I have had to travail. I am still in my right mind, forgetful at times of stress, however. I am still able to walk upright, despite needing a knee replacement. I can still use my writing skills to bring pleasure and knowledge to others. I still have my mother, although she has dementia, and she became the mother I always wanted because of it. I still have my children who have turned out to be good members of society and successful in what they do. I have 9 grandchildren who are doing well in school and they are intelligent and beautiful. I have 1 great-grandchild. I have a beautiful apartment surrounded by beautiful furnishings from my childhood, especially my mother's dining room set and things I have acquired as an adult. I have my beautiful cat Patches who continually comforts me and entertains me. I have nice neighbors who have accepted me despite my race. I have beautiful hills and valleys to look at, a lovely neighborhood to take walks whenever I want, and fresher air than I was used to living in New Jersey. I have my friend Leslie who encourages me and often blesses me with fresh fruit and other fruits and sundries. She is someone I can share intimate details of my life as she does with me without being judged or repeated. And now I have my Colorado family and friends too. So yes, I am no longer a victim, nor do I possess a victim's mentality. I am a strong and independent woman, maybe not capable of leaping tall buildings in a single bound, but superwoman nevertheless. I have been beaten, cursed at, verbally and emotionally abused, but I am still here. I am full of love and empathy. I am generous in my willingness to be of service to others. I am adventurous and open-minded. I am always seeking ways to be further enlightened. I am ever searching for ways to improve my character and personality. I am an ever evolving creation of God. I am loved just the way I am. I am a true reflection of his ever enduring love just because.
Just because. I love that so much. And here's your round of applause.
Thank you. Yeah.
I love that. And I love the person you've become because of your tragedy.
Yeah. Like I said in the introduction, had these things not happened, I wouldn't have had anything to write about.
Exactly.
You
And
know.
you know, that's when life begins, when you have a story to tell.
Right.
Otherwise, you have no conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm proud of you, sincerely.
Uh-huh.
And I
What is keeping a secret?
I don't know.
Somebody
Keep what a
put,
secret.
yeah, that's what I want to know. Keep what a secret.
It's not
Ask
time
Junior
for
what he meant.
secrets. It's time to speak. Let your voice be heard.
Right.
Secrets
Yeah.
kill.
Too
Secrets
late.
destroy.
The
Secrets,
genie's already out the bottle.
yeah.
Child, I talked to people inside of Walmart and in the parking lot.
You better. You got books to sell. You
No,
have.
but I'm just talking about, do you like, I saw one lady, she had this license plate. It said chocolate candy or something, hot chocolate or something. That's her license plate, right? And so she was in the back of her car putting stuff in, and I was getting ready to get in mine. And I peeked around. I said, I just had to see what hot chocolate looked like. And she started laughing. So I'm putting stuff in my car, and the book was on the seat. I said, do you like to read? She said, yeah. I said, I just... I showed her the book. We exchanged phone numbers and all of that. So that's somebody I am going to reach out to now and say, okay, it's out. Let's move.
That's
So
the best advertisement you can have.
yeah,
Personal
yeah,
reflection.
yeah.
And meeting
Like
people, not being shy about it, and putting it
mhm.
out in the universe.
You never know what's going to happen. This lady that I sold the book at the post office, we have become friends in the last 3 or 4 weeks. She likes to go, but she doesn't like to drive. I said I would drive you, but I don't have any brakes. Do you know? Last Tuesday she put brakes on my car.
That's a hashtag, but God.
That's a blessing from God. That's a blessing from God.
Yes, you don't know whose path you're going to cross that can bless you. You never
And she's
know.
already bought 3 books. She's already bought 3 books. On top of that,
Keep telling your story.
you know,
Keep singing your song.
it's doing it with authenticity.
Yeah.
People will know a phony,
Yeah.
will know a phony, will know a phony.
Yeah.
And if I can't tell you my truth, then I don't need to talk.
Everything
If
else
you don't
is
want to hear,
fine.
just tell me be quiet.
Yeah.
If that's not something you want to watch, hey, Ronnie, that's an old friend. Buy a book.
Well, you know what?
And that's my banker. Ashley, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on your purchase too, girl.
And you have opportunity to go in after the broadcast to respond to every comment that's
Right,
there.
yeah.
And
That's wonderful.
be sure to put your contact information in the comments. Make sure you put your link to your book from Amazon in the comments so everybody have access to it. And I'm going to keep a close eye on you. It's not like I don't speak to you.
Oh, I know.
And so
I already love you to pieces.
I love
This
you.
This is the sweetest and most intelligent woman I have ever met. And she is truly genuine, you know, and it has been a blessing to be directed in her path. I want to be like you when I grow up.
Well, you know what? I'm still figuring it out myself.
I know.
You know?
I know.
And I have learned to embrace the tragedies to make
Right.
the triumphs. And taking the pen, putting it to paper, on my fingers to the keyboard, and writing. Writing is the saving grace. It is that savoring Eden. It is that peace to bring prosperity and enlightenment and joy to your life by sharing your story, because at the end of the day, it's all about who you're blessing, because not everybody has a voice to stand up and can speak for themselves.
Right.
They don't have it.
When people were asking me to do a CD, they
Right.
were telling me because of my voice, they can read it, but they don't get the same essence as when I'm reading my own stuff.
You have
And
to.
I believe that, so that's my next goal, is to get that moving. So I've got plenty of plans. I just have to stay out of my way and let God do it.
Okay,
Just
say
let him
that.
do it.
Exit. So let
Yes.
that part of your life go,
Mm-hmm.
and the part that needs to stay to get this work done so you can have a finished product in every area to get your voice out. That's what we're
Right.
going to work on. And it's no longer
Okay.
CDs that you're going to be doing. It's going to be audibles. So you have audio
Yes.
books.
There you go. That's
It's
that's that's another one
audible.
too. Yeah.
And it's ways
Yeah.
for doing that, and we can talk about it off air, but
Okay.
okay. And
Mm-hmm.
no worries on that. I want to say thank you for sharing your
Thank you so
story,
much.
being available, even though you were shy and this is your first time. So now I want you to go nuts with some lies so you can start talking about your book and being available and create the groups and create the voice and the sounds that needs to echo in the universe. You
Okay.
have enough to start your own group. You don't need somebody else. You do it for yourself. And you'll be amazed of the people that you reach. So
Okay.
I'm just encouraging you to do that. I love you back. I think you're amazing. And I'm proud of you for standing in your grace and becoming the phenomenal woman that you are. And the
Mm.
reflections within every word that you've written, those past and those that are to come. Okay?
Thank you so much. I appreciate
You're
that so very much. And right back at you.
Thank you, Dollface. We're going to go ahead and wrap up this show. Is there anything else you want to say to the Sparrows before
um,
we go?
they can also reach me on Facebook, Patricia Ann Woolfork, and friend me there. And I can always, we can talk there a little bit more and get all the information from there as well. But again, it's Savoring Eden 910 at yahoo.com.
Great.
Patricia Ann Woolfork.
We got you.
Okay.
Okay.
Good night, everyone. Thank you so much for supporting me. That means the world to me. Oh, hello, Thermomile. Oh, that's my son down here.
Yay.
My other son, my son from another mother.
And it's all fabulous. I'm glad
Yeah.
everybody is here tonight. Before
Yes.
everybody leaves, be sure, be mindful to share this live, because sharing is caring, and it's nothing like sharing information, and it's going to be necessary, okay? So on that note, thank you so much, Sparrows, for attending, all the visitors, all the newbies, and all the veterans, and more so, all of you that's going to be keep catching the repeat and the replays. Be sure to watch to the end and share as well. So on that note, love without conditions, always possess a positive attitude and soar in all you do. Love you, mean it.
Good night.
Kisses. Good night. Talk to you soon. Take care,
Okay.
Sparrows.